Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing the most anticipated property from all of DC live action universe. It's got to be the Justice League. So yes, the Justice League 2018 is the film, quote unquote, the film that everyone has been waiting for. Everyone knows. If you're a big fan of DC, then you are aware of the DC universe. You know that the Justice League or the Super Friends were conceived in the early '60s, and since then they've been shown in several animations, such as what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Several animated movies: the Justice League, The New Frontier, Justice League Crisis of Two Earths in '04, Justice League Gods Monsters 2014, Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. Got some pretty good reviews on that one, actually. DC animated movie universe. Um, but yes, this is one of the first interpretations we've gotten of the Justice League besides the Titans movie, and that's not really the Justice League. That's kind of like a side thing. But still, we are going to discuss the Justice League. So, assuming you have probably seen the Man of Steel, which was in 2013. What were the other movies that came out? You got the Man of Steel. You got your Wonder Woman. You got your Aquaman. Aquaman actually came out the year after this, but it's kind of hard to believe the Justice League and BVS, of course, that's the movie that I always forget, and I guess I'm trying to forget that was in 2016. So just to kind of do a reverberation, we had Man of Steel 2013. We had Man of Steel 2013. We had Batman v Superman 2016. We had Wonder Woman about 3 or 4 months before Justice League in 2017, and then Justice League 2017 in that November, followed by Aquaman the next year, that next summer, I believe. So yeah, I've always been a pretty big fan of the Justice League as a whole, as a property, as a young person growing up. I was much more into the Justice League than I was into the Marvel properties. I always thought that the television was a lot more geared toward my sensibilities and what I liked. I was always a Superman kind of guy, Batman kind of guy, never Iron Man guy until Marvel became more prominent. And I'm not much of a comic book reader, I'll tell you that right now. So um, most of my knowledge comes from either television or movies. So that's how we're going to approach this review. So people that are coming at this property with a lot more knowledge might gain a little bit more or have a little bit less knowledge, or might have a different opinion about this, and that's totally respectable. So with saying all that, I want to say that the Justice League, it has some pretty good casting, some interesting acting, um, and that's about it. I do want to say, with respect to the director that was behind the camera, I think about 60 to 70% of the time, Zach Snyder lost his daughter due to suicide, unfortunately. So, with tremendous respect to his family, and because of that loss, he had to step down from the movie, and they hired Joss Whedon, the guy that pretty much that did direct the first Avengers movie, to come in and finish the movie. And so, in some scenes, you can say, yeah, it's definitely noticeable. This is a Zack Snyder scene. This is a Joss Whedon scene. But overall, it doesn't feel as compressed as I kind of remembered it being. When I first saw it in 2017, I want to say that I felt like I was like, whoa, this is definitely a Zack Snyder scene. Whoa, this is a Joss Whedon scene. But going back and revisiting it, it's not quite as um, jarring as I remember. But I did have a lot of notes when I was when I was watching this movie. I was kind of surprised some of this actually was okay with the studios. I was like, I don't, what were the decisions in this, in making this, and the thing that comes down The thing that sticks out to me the most about this project is that there's probably too many cooks in the kitchen. And so we pretty much talked about the pros, so let me talk about the cons from what I could tell. The writing, tons and tons of exposition because we only have we had just been introduced to Wonder Woman and a couple months before this. We're supposed to know who Wonder Woman is. We sort of know who Batman is because essentially, he's been in interpretations for over 50 years, and as well as Batman since the before 1950s. Um, sorry, Superman is who I'm referring to. I said Batman. Batman and Superman are properties everyone has known for many years now. But the thing is, we weren't introduced to Aquaman. We didn't know who this cyborg character was. Now, like I said, depending on how much history you're coming to this movie with, that's how you're going to interpret this movie. So I'm going to try to gear this review as if you have not seen, as if you were unaware of the comic book history of these characters. So just with saying that, yeah, this movie is trying to do a lot with, I don't want to say with a little, but it's trying to cram too much in this 2 hour runtime. Apparently, WB said this movie had to stay under 2 hours. I think even Wonder Woman was longer than this. Let me see. Wonder Woman was 2 hours and 21 minutes. It's like, and Wonder Woman, did numbers. The biggest problem with this Justice League movie was how expensive the movie was. Everyone knows about the CGI of Henry Cavill having to. He had a mustache on there during the time of shooting and reshoots, and the reshoots required him to have this CGI mustache like removed, like. And I remember when I first saw it during the opening night or whatever, and it just kind of looked like he was like snarling or something like that. And I was like, there's something a little bit weird with this guy, but it's such a quick scene that I was like, okay, that's just a kind of a weird look for him, but it didn't occur to me until later that was probably a touch-up job, a reshoot, or some sort of filter, some sort of masking that they had to do on the character because he had this thick ass mustache when he was filming Mission Impossible Fallout. And so, by the way, a great movie. We have the review for that on LuckyDog as well. Um, so yes, let me stick to the notes. Stick to the notes. So, what is this movie about? Overall, it's an overstuffed movie with heavy exposition because there's too many characters to introduce and there's tons of backstory. We're trying to uh, give everyone all this knowledge under the course of about an hour. And so, um, sort of spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen Batman v Superman going into this, because there's everything that happens in Man of Steel basically, and things that happen in um, uh, Batman v Superman are influenced in this movie. So just kind of prefacing that, it is kind of like that Marvel style universe. Everything kind of connects. So there's going to be things we're going to be talking about. So by now, you should have probably known that at the end of Batman v Superman, I'm telling you the spoiler right now. It's a fucking spoiler for that Batman and Superman are going at it, boom, 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 and then it ends up Lex Luthor invites Dark somebody, Earth somebody. I don't. Hold on, I'll figure it out in 2 seconds. Give me a second. Hold on. Who appears at the end of Batman v Superman? All right, tell me. Scoop, scoop, scoop. Um, let me see. What is the creature? It is an ugly ass creature. Doomsday. I fucking stupid. I don't know. Some of these names give me just like, I'm like, I don't even know. Fucking Doomsday shows up because of Lex Luthor doing some sort of DNA Frankenstein project with bringing Michael Shannon's uh, character back uh, from the dead and merging it in this all DNA fucked up sequence or something like that. Long story short, Superman's dead at the end of BVS, and the first hour of this is trying to reintroduce um, all these new characters. I think it's kind of an amalgamation. It's kind of a cluster. There's too much uh, jumping around. This entity, this Steppenwolf character that is trying to get in the good graces of this other thing called Darkseid. Like I said, I'm not a comic book character. I'm not a comic book. No, I'm not a comic book character. I'm not a comic book reader, so I have no idea who the hell this Darkseid character is. And so, essentially, we're watching this movie for 2 hours. The first hour is trying to reintroduce this Justice League, who probably half of the people have no idea walking into this who they are. So they just get these little clippets of, oh, here's the Flash. Oh, here's Cyborg. Oh, here's this. Here's that. But we don't really get a full grasp of, I guess, full motivations and full understanding of who they are, what they want. Um, conceptually, they want justice, but it's just like that's just because like that's what they're saying. It's not really because of the actions that they're portraying or anything like that. It's just something about it. This the first half of the movie just feels like clips of people. Hey, I'm starting a team. Hey, I got to go here. Hey, it's I don't know. Frustrated. I'm frustrated. So let's talk about the cons of this movie. So by now, I would have expected you to have watched Batman v Superman, and you pretty much know everything that ends up out there. Doomsday shows up. Lex Luthor creates him out of Michael Shannon's body or something like that, and it's a big DNA cluster. Superman ends up dying in this Doomsday thing going on with Wonder Woman showing up at the end of that movie. So that was kind of a cluster what happened there. And this first act, first hour of this movie is just trying to regain the team. Got to get everybody back together. Get the ragtag team back together just to save the world. And it's so rushed with showing this Steppenwolf character. This Steppenwolf character is like this 10-foot CGI creature created from uh, the face of what's his face? Created by the face of God, Saran Hines. I know I'm saying that wrong. It's the guy, the guy from Game of Thrones and shit like that. I'm not gonna go too in deep depth. But anyways, um, Superman's dead at the beginning of this movie, and so everyone's mourning him. We're kind of having Batman going through these clip. He's going to, hey, I need to get the team together. It's basically everything Nick Fury's doing in Marvel. He's like, I need to get the team together, and he's like, there's no time to process anything. He's just, hey, are you so and so? I need to get the team together, and it's like you just expect everyone to just drop what they're doing, and so this movie suffers from a lot of things. It suffers from probably too many characters having too little of underwritten stories. Like the backstories, the motivations of these characters are kind of unclear. If you don't know who these characters, Cyborg are, you don't know who Aquaman is. Aquaman's not going to be introduced for another year in this universe. It's kind of like, who are these people? What exactly are their limits? What the problem with the Justice League versus if you want to talk about Marvel and how you have to approach these characters is that the Justice League characters are OP as fuck. They're all like 90% of them are gods, and the Superman is as fast and as strong as he needs to be. The Flash is as fast as he needs to be. Cyborg can hack into anything. Wonder Woman can get you to tell the truth. It's just they are what they need to be at the time they need to be it, and that's the thing I find a little bit more difficult to believe with this specific property. I feel like introducing this 10-foot CGI creature with these bug things that they have to fight throughout the movie just is not an inherently interesting problem. It felt like this felt like a creature that only one of them needed to take on. It actually felt like the third act of Wonder Woman a little bit. But the thing is, Batman was having nightmares about all of this shit going on in BVS, so they do have groundwork with what's been going on through the chronology of this film, and through the universe in a way. Now, I think there's some discrepancies about, who met who, did what, when, where. I don't know, some bullshit. I haven't actually looked into that. I might have to look in the comments for that. But anyways, yeah, the problem is the problem is that we have such a great cast and such an average, in my opinion, I think is a great cast. I think we have such an mediocre script that we want to like these characters that are selling us, this very mediocre writing. And a lot of it is just, face value, it's, there's no meaning to what they're saying or what their motivations are. It's like, we have to go save. Why? Who is this? Like, why wouldn't this be someone you call the National Guard? And there's no government oversight of what's going on. It feels like there's no political affiliation to what is happening. It's just go shoot, go fight, go blast, go fly, just do whatever you got to do and do it well. And that's what it kind of feels like the characters are doing. And it's like, all right, well, the Flash is like, I don't know what to do. He's like, well, just run fast. And that's what he does. It's like, okay, so I did notice about the story and the action and the writing are the three main things that are bringing this down, this overall property as a live action feature down. I mean, the fact that it cost $300 million to basically have all of these pretty good actors is what I'd say, covered, sorry, they're not covered up, but they are, well, most of them aren't. They're entrenched in basically a CGI world. I want to say that this movie cost almost as much, if not just as much, as like Avatar. Like, this is one of the most expensive movies that has ever been made, and only made about $650 million less. I know they definitely didn't make I don't think they broke the $1 billion mark, which is exactly what Aquaman did the next summer. Let me see what the Avatar budget was. Avatar budget in 2009 was $237 million. It was one of the most expensive movies produced at that time. I think it was like Pirates of the Caribbean was up there. But $237 million, and it went on to make... Hold on. Avatar went on to make $2.79 billion. Do you hear that? 2.79 billion, as opposed to the 300 million that it cost Justice League to make, and they only got 650 million. I mean, it's amazing if you look at it in that light. That's an expensive ass movie. I mean, having all these actors, the CGI, my lord, my hair's driving me nuts. I need to get a haircut. The CGI, the characters, Steppenwolf, all of it just turns into a big clusterfuck of an amalgamation. It's just like, boss, I think we broke the budget. And that fucking CGI. The thing about that, excuse me, the thing about the CGI reshoots and stuff like that, I mean, the only reshoots I could really think about were like Henry Cavill's mustache or something like, does removing a mustache cost that much? I mean, I was thinking like Snapchat gives me a full-on set of a full stash, full beard, full goatee in like 2 seconds for free. I mean, they're probably selling my, my personal information or my facial recognition or something like that, but still it's for free, and it didn't cost me $50 million to do all that. So I was just like, the budget for this is out of control. The direction was lacking. Obviously the original director had to drop out, we got a new director in, and so they're still trying to pull all these pieces together. Even with that, I still think, unless they were just shooting and not knowing what they were going to do from a storyboard mode, which is a lot of times what happens. I'm not going to lie that there aren't movies out there that have that problem. They're shooting and they have no idea what the ending is. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have had this movie completely storyboarded out to an extent that it would make sense. So that's a lot of questionable decisions in that. So let me do just a quick rundown of my notes. I've been kind of blabbering on a little bit longer. So yeah, the writing, the story, the action. It's everything that is bringing it down. The reason the action doesn't work for me is half the time people are just being thrown through walls and being thrown on the floor. Just uh, something big is being thrown at. Weight is happening. It's not like it's not it's the exact opposite of what John Wick is, and that's or high intense choreography, fighting choreography that actually makes sense. None of this feels like smooth and choreographed in a way that even just a few months before that it was released, it was Wonder Woman. The first two acts of Wonder Woman have some amazing choreography. So I don't want to say them just bashing DC as a whole. I just feel like it's inconsistent with the type of fighting ranges that is going on. So it's like what we're seeing is completely different from movie to movie. It's this big epic grand scale like Aquaman or even Wonder Woman or even parts of this movie which it tried to be, but this movie just turns into the Man of Steel style, just punching people through walls, throwing people 1,000 miles that way or something. It just becomes one of those big bam grand slam kind of movies, and it just makes it that much less interesting. I wanted to count how many times someone bust through a wall in this or got thrown into a wall, and ultimately it feels like it never matters when it happens. So it's like, what's the difference? Um, yeah, I just was trying to I was trying to realize and grasp why none of the action is like, holding on. It's not, I can't retain any of the action scenes in my head like I can in like a John Wick or um I keep saying John Wick, but like think about like The Matrix and some of how those movies are inspired by like hardcore action Korean films. What do we got? The Raid is a great movie to talk about because everyone can remember the types of action and choreography that actually go into that. I mean, it is some intense sheet. Um, and DC has had this problem before. I did a review on The Dark Knight, and I did talk about the problems of the action and some of the scenes are just not shot as cleanly as they could be. Imagine if they got like a the guy Chad Stokowski, I think his name was, one of the stunt guys from John Wick, to come in and do that. I mean, that's probably that's the real deal. Um, I think his name was Chad Stokowski or something like that. I don't know. Even I thought like stuff like Deadpool even had better choreography than that, but I don't know. Let's get into the real spoilers of the Justice League. The opening, Henry Cavill. The opening is a little meh with the kid's voice acting, but I still think Cavill really embodies this character. I didn't appreciate Cavill as an actor in Man of Steel, nor in Justice League, mostly because I didn't really know him as an actor, and I feel like he's definitely grown and gotten. I understand his acting style a little bit more. I still feel like sometimes he's a little stiff, but give him the right material, I think he's really good. And I think he's perfect for Man of Steel. I just wish they would have had a little bit more clean of an interpretation of it. Batman, doing his little No, 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 no. You know, that straight up Batman music. The music in this, it's kind of trying to take an amalgamation of all the music that Justice League has used. All, you know, some of the Batman, some of the Wonder Woman, some of the Superman, some of the Flash, some of the, I guess Cyborg's trying to have his own music too. There's a lot going on. I don't ever feel like it hits on all cylinders until maybe one or two scenes in the middle. Um, so Superman's dead. Where does that leave us? Um, Dark, gloomy opening with the piano with an overbearing message. I think it was that music that's saying, you know, I don't know. I'm sure it's not that, but that's more like The Shining or something. But it's some, it's not the opening, the exciting opening that I thought we would have with the Justice League opening. It is very, it's not dark. It's just not that much fun at the beginning. In my opinion, I feel like it should be a fun opening, especially how Wonder Woman was perceived. It was such a interesting interpretation of the DC universe that I wanted it to kind of continue into that, even though I know the chronology of the time's a little bit different. Um, there's like a white supremacy attack at the beginning. It's like, what? It's like, was that supposed to be like an underlying message in that? It looked like some white supremacists like attacking like a Muslim-owned business or something like that. So I couldn't exactly tell what was going on. The Wonder Woman scene at the beginning is one of the better scenes. It felt like it was just kind of like placed in there. It's like, oh shit, okay, so you know, Wonder Woman's just stopping a bank heist. Um, Aquaman scene intro is kind of bland. Background doesn't work. Numerous times in this movie I watched it seriously diverged from what even looked like a half real movie. I mean, it looks like they are standing behind like three green screens. Their face is almost like uh, it looks like they have so many filters all over their face, and they're just standing right beside like a massive green screen like 90% of the time in this movie, and it's just like, oh, it takes me out of the movie so many times. Flash intro is funny, subtle, and it works personally because it's using all the best aspects of Flash. He's kind of a quirky, fast-talking guy. Ezra Miller is playing Flash. He's actually my favorite character interpretation of this DC universe. All the characters, I think, maybe besides Superman. But I think he works the best. He feels like the most down to earth. He's talking really fast. He talks how he can't relate. It feels like, okay, yes, this feels like a real person in this universe. The thing is, uh, the thing is, he uses his power in the same introduction as Batman using his power. So Batman's using his detective skills, finding Barry, and I think his name Barry Allen or something like that. He finds Barry, and Batman throws. You know, we see it in the trailers. The batarang or whatever it's called at Flash. I'm not going to get all the cool technical things about what they do and the lasso of truth or whatever the hell their cool things are called, but you know what I'm talking about when I say the batarang. He throws the batarang at the Flash, and it's a scene where the Flash is using his power, Batman's using his power. They're kind of doing this interlay, and it works. It kind of reminds me of some of the better scenes of the worst aspects of like the Fantastic Four movies. I still kind of laugh at some of the scenes that when they were having fun with each other using their powers. Do you remember the Reed Richards going to the bathroom and using his arm to get an extra roll of toilet paper in the other room? It's kind of a funny, fast, subtle way of showing how they can use their power in an everyday life, or in a way, or just it feels a lot more relatable in a way. You don't always have to be having the big blue beam of fucking light coming out of nowhere. So I do like the Flash intro. I just wish it was a little bit more. I wish all the intros were like that. It actually feels like more of a Joss Whedon side of things, a little bit more of a comedy. Cyborg is taking his role way too seriously. The actor is doing excellent. It's just we have no we if you haven't seen Titans, if you haven't seen any of the backstory with who this guy is, you don't know why he's so dark and brooding. We've only seen bits and pieces, I think, in Batman v Superman about like who this guy is and what happened, and you kind of have to piece together what is going on. Apparently, his body is upgrading itself, and I feel like that is everything we need to know about this everything we need to know about this character is not in this movie. So it's like, what is going on with his body? Why is he shooting things on accident? What does he have control of? What is his motivations? What is going on around here? So lots of questions. Um, and there's something about a box powering a Kryptonian ship. There's some sort of Kryptonian ship that's on Earth, maybe related to Superman in some way. I don't know why Superman's not being kept in more security around him. But anyways, there's these three boxes that Steppenwolf has to get, and those stupid three boxes have all the power for his mother of some sort. I was like, why do you keep calling your mother for this? He's like, mother, I will see you soon. It's like throughout the movie, you get bits and pieces and glimpses of him fighting the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, fighting hundreds of thousands of people with these parademons or something like that serve him as bug creatures, and he's trying to get these three boxes so that he can, get in the good graces of some guy named Darkseid, who we never get to see because apparently they ran out of budget on a $300 million budget. So I'm like, whoa, what is going on around here? And not being a comic book reader, that's where I'm like, this is where I draw the line at the ridiculousness. So I just wanted to, preface all that by, I was like, I was not ready for any of that. And granted, I had seen all this. I didn't remember any of that. I was like, I don't know what the fucking boxes are. They're stupid MacGuffins. The Amazonian scene has a weightlessness to it that is kind of hard to explain. It just feels like everyone's like jumping around and really far. It feels like everyone's like on the moon or something. It's a little bit hard to explain. But I did think the most of the action at the Amazonian scene was actually shot really well by these characters. And my Atlanta, they are extremely fit. It's just like, it makes me want to get down and start doing some push-ups. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get down and do my do my shit, because they look phenomenal doing all this stunt work. The Amazonians are essentially the female 300 Spartans, and we even kind of get like a glimpse of a Spartan or something like that from like one of the guys in the Amazonian crew. I don't know. So yeah, Steppenwolf is a CGI cluster, and they have like a full-on Game of Thrones style scene with the Amazonians. They got like full-on like horses, and they're doing their crazy ass action scenes. I mean, what more can I say than it's just it's the better part of the Wonder Woman movies. Clearly are one of the strongest parts of the DC universe. And this is all happening like super fast. This is like snap. Wonder Woman's like, yeah. Steppenwolf has defeated Kazar like thousands and thousands of people or something like that. And brothers and sisters of mine, but it's all good. Wonder Woman doesn't really feel like she has a connection to the Amazonians at this point, and maybe I need to go back and rewatch it, because I do remember her having like a really big influence, and I don't remember if she's queen or if she's like a ruler of it, or how. I don't remember exactly how she is the leader or some sort, maybe in some sort of way, the strongest. I can't remember exactly, but it didn't feel like she has a connection to anyone there, and so it doesn't feel like we actually lost anybody when all of this is going on. And Steppenwolf is like fucking these girls up. I mean, he's got that big ass axe sword thing going on, fucking whooping. And if this was like rated R, my God, this could be really bloody, which I don't think there's a drop of blood. Feels more like a PG movie, actually, now that I think about it. Martha Kent and Amy Adams have a pretty much a nonsensical conversation about talking about seeing the engine of the world. What the hell did they? They seriously wasted Diane Lane in this scene. I mean, she has like two scenes in this, and they mean nothing. I mean, they're pretty much there just to say that check the box. Yep, she's in the movie. And I don't even remember Martha Kent and Superman even, coming together to have like a real family happy. It's a big happy get together, family get together. It doesn't feel like that at all to me. I don't know. It just happens so fast, and he's instantly evil when he wakes up. So I'm going ahead of myself. Let's see. The conversation they have with Batman and Wonder Woman is so expository heavy. I think this is actually the Wonder Woman uh, scene where, sorry, the Wonder Woman Amazonian scene where Steppenwolf's going all off. This is where it gives Steppenwolf's backstory, killed millions, and or they became parademons. That's kind of confusing. Why not just kill them all or just turn them all? Just choose one. Why you got to do that? They are nightmare creatures who feed on fear. Um, and I believe these were the creatures that we were seeing in Batman v Superman. So it's all coming together. It's like, oh, the boxes make Steppenwolf's world or some shit. It's like if you bring the boxes, it makes our world his world of some sort. I don't know, something. I didn't make this up. Um, Let me see what's up. Is Green Lantern in some of these scenes? It looked like there might have been a Green Lantern sighting or a Green Lantern. I know that there's kind of a bunch of them, I think, from what I know. Also, random 300 Spartan. Are the men like 3 feet taller than all the women in the Amazonian scenes? It looked like they were like giants, and I might need to go back and check, but maybe there's something I'm missing on that. Um, I also, in this movie, I never know where we are or the location. It just kind of feels like we're just popping up in random locations. There's no like titles that say we're, Russia, US, Washington D.C. or something. It's not like I feel like I have no idea where I am ever, and the Justice League headquarters is so kind of obscure. I'm not even sure. They feel like they come and go in different places, even when they leave in the ship. It's like the ship comes out of water of some sort, like a river, and you can't even tell where the actual headquarters is. So it always looks like they're in some sort of warehouse. It never really looks like they are in the same location all the time. It's not like the X-Men, uh, Professor X's, headquarters got that big ass mansion, got a freaking nice piece of real estate. It's like they couldn't, with $300 million, they could not afford to show a single location shot because I was like, where the fuck are we? Even in the intro scenes with Flash, it looks like we're entering from like one like rusty ass train station on one side, and then we're exiting from a separate rusty ass train station that looks like in a completely different area. I mean, the cinematography in here feels inconsistent to me, and that's what really is throwing me off all the time on this. Like, I don't know ever where I am in this movie. No, I know where I am. Batman and Wonder Woman are just like walking around outside his place. I don't really know when they're having this conversation. No one feels like they have enough screen time to have a personality. It's so much expository information about who they are and I guess motivation. It is very thin in this, and personality. Yeah, no location establishing shots where we are. That was a pretty cool intro with Ezra Miller in the Flash said that the outside of the facility, like I said, looks like a completely different place from where they entered. Maybe that's a reshoot. I know Josh Whedon and Zach Snyder traded off in some scenes. Maybe they couldn't return to the same location. The sky is always foggy in Gotham, so that's how you know you're in fucking Gotham. Aquaman, Steppenwolf fight is kind of bland. I actually kind of forgot that they have a fight in the down there, and it's just I can't remember anything. People getting thrown through stuff. It's nothing matters. Nothing matters during that. All right, so Steppenwolf is trying to collect the boxes for his mother to get out of excise. I don't know. Maybe he's like excised from the wherever his world is, and he needs to get the boxes for the thing for Darkseid. Casually, Cyborg rolls up when we got the Flash, Wonder Woman. I think it's J.K. Simmons, and he fucking got ripped. And apparently he was like working out hard for this movie, and their photos of thinking that he was going to join the Justice League. Commissioner Gordon, no, he isn't going to whoop no ass. Commissioner Gordon has a heavy ass jacket on this entire time. He never gets remote to lifting more than a pen. So yeah, Cyborg casually rolls up. No one asks any questions about like him just casually rolling up. Doesn't make any sense. No one even says hi, like Wonder Woman says, "Oh, hi, there you are," and joins the group. Batman, Flash, Commissioner. No one asks questions. Okay, that's okay. That makes sense. No, it doesn't. It feels like everyone is using their first take in this. I felt like for the first hour, I felt like majority of the takes were just like, all right, we're done. First take. And it's like, Affleck, you want to do that again? He's like, nah. He's like, nah. Like, I actually like Ben Affleck in this role as Bruce, and he's trying to do what he can, as Batman, but he's definitely trying to play an older Batman. And I feel like different people are playing in different roles. Like Aquaman clearly isn't taking this as seriously as, or Jason Momoa is not taking this as serious as Ben Affleck is. I feel like just cracking a smile would have helped just a little bit. You can give some levity to this. And I think has like a third of the way in, I was like, all right, we've broken 3 walls so far, and I stopped counting. So there's at least like 5 walls that are just someone's thrown through or thrown into. It's ridiculous. The fighting in this is just not as creative as as it could have been. The small sight gag of Flash on Wonder Woman is kind of funny, I guess. Kind of inappropriate. I don't know. They do have that 2017 sensibility of, this is before Me Too and all that. And so actually Ezra Miller might not even be the Flash anymore. So sorry. I think he might have chokeslammed some lady, I don't know, on a video. I didn't. I'm not saying I like the guy. I'm just saying that the portrayal is good. But yeah, you might need to look into that. Physics don't really apply to the majority of the Justice League, I realized. The Justice League, Wonder Woman can jump as far as she needs to. Cyborg is as fast as Flash and can hack anything. Yeah, I'm just like, they're all gods essentially. They can do anything they need. They can do anything they need to do at the time they need to do it. Um, Steppenwolf says, "Mother is calling." I think this was after one of the first fights with the Justice League. Aquaman finally arrives in through the water or something like that. I think this is that big fight under, with the bugs and whatnot in that random ass place. There's some decent comedy with at one point Cyborg just bounces and Flash is like, did he just leave? And I thought just small subtle humor works, especially with the timing. A lot of the time I feel like the characters are not reacting to the things around them because they don't know what's going on around them. The actors didn't know what was going on around them, so they didn't know how to act against it. They never miss a moment to get a shot of Wonder Woman's ass. I think they got about 3 or 4 of those. I think you can kind of tell the sensibility and the beating of what was going on. Kind of anticlimactic ending to the first fight as Justice League. We keep flashing back to and from this Russian family. What is going on with this Russian family? Why aren't we doing... I think we're doing a Russian family because there was too much destruction in the U.S. and BVS, so they're like, we need to go over here and where people aren't going to get pissed off. So we just follow this random Russian family as Steppenwolf gets ready for his final act there. Barry seems to be the only one that acts like a real person. He has he's the one that's like actually saying, this is weird. What is that? Oh my God, the Batcave. He's actually reacting to the things that are around him. Aquaman stealing shit in the Batcave. That's some funny shit. I like the fact that some of these guys aren't exactly heroes. Ben Affleck feels like he believes every other word he's saying. I think this is when they're having the conversation in the Batcave. They're just like, he's trying to explain everything going on, but it looks like he's about to crack a smile almost every time. He's like, I can't believe this, I'm saying this shit. Did Aquaman's eyes always go back and forth with those weird contacts? I can't remember if Aquaman in the movie, his eyes kept changing, because they definitely do in this, and they go back and forth. They literally have to dig up Superman's body. That's what they decide in the Batcave, that this is the best idea to use, I guess, the cube thing to bring Superman back. The music doesn't really seem to be emphasized until they wake up Superman. That's something I actually realized, that this movie should have some really epic music, and it really does not feel like it hits on all cylinders and like it could have or it should have for me personally. The mustache doesn't look as bad as I remember. Maybe they've cleaned it up for HBO Max, which is what I'm watching it on now. He sounds a little British. He's like, "Do you bleed?" or something like that. I don't know if that's a good. That's a good. It was like, do you bleed? It was a weird interpretation. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe there's the voiceover they did. Old Batman is kind of funny. He's like, I think he drops Batman or he punches him or something. He's like, oh, yep, definitely bleeding. So it's like, that was some funny stuff that's reactionary. Lois Lane is Amy Adams. God, she's such a great actress and she's wasted in this movie. She's great. Have you seen Arrival? My Sharp Objects, my goodness, it is. She's phenomenal. She's wasted and given terrible material. It's a triple threat waste on that. Lois Lane, she's like, oh my god, she smells good. That's what she's, just love interest for the Henry Cavill. It doesn't have anything really substantial or interesting to say, really. um Let me see. I don't feel like any of the Justice League acknowledges everything in red in this like third act. um Let me see. There's an odd use of slow-mo with this last third act with the Batmobile and the bullets coming off of the shells. I felt like the use of slow-mo in this last act was almost garbage. It's hard to see what's going on. Incomprehensible action while making it slow-mo doesn't exactly make it cooler. Um, Aquaman riding the insects. Now that's kind of cool. He's actually doing, some decent action without having to throw people in buildings, I guess. Um, the contrast in what's happening with this red background is just so fucking ugly. There's an amalgamation of fighting scenes where the heroes have to save each other, catch the Flash, uh, lots of hitting things, Batman shooting things. I know people have a problem with Batman shooting things. Uh, it's just, I don't, maybe regardless if you like the character shooting things or not. I personally don't, mostly because if I wanted to watch somebody shoot things, I'd watch that movie. I don't want to watch Batman shoot people because it's inherently not that interesting. From a story piece, watching Batman just shoot these insects down was just not that interesting. It's not cinematically well told in a way. It's just like brainless. It feels brainless to me, honestly. It doesn't feel like it's like, all right, we'll have Batman use the guns and then he'll defeat the thing and then we'll be good. Yeah. Sounds good. All right, team, hi. That's what it felt like in this movie. It's like no thinking when it came. It just like, I mean, it'll sell some toys, it'll sell some games. I mean, a third of this movie feels like you're playing like a Justice League movie. Um, Let me see. Yeah, so much hitting, shooting, the fighting choreography just less impressive. Steppenwolf looks more like a video game as the as the movie progresses. Superman coming to the fight with Justice League. I didn't give the resurrection enough credit. The resurrection of Superman is the best scene in this movie. I think undoubtedly, just the music just hits to a T, hits that cue. It elevates Henry Cavill. He's an interesting actor. There's things that are actually interesting that are happening. The Flash can actually match his speed. The Superman can match the Flash's speed when they're going around trying to contain him. There's just so much cool shit going on in that scene that it's a shame that the majority of this movie it takes so long to get there, and that they can't have Henry Cavill in this movie more. He's in it for maybe 20 minutes. And Justice League games in Justice League without, Superman, right? The thing is, this team is way OP, so you kind of have to have them, mismatch against each other. So we have Cyborg, for some reason, trying to shoot Superman and with his blaster, but yeah, that whole scene, I kind of jump back to that resurrection of Superman, but that is the best scene in this movie. So yes, Superman coming back to the fight with Steppenwolf and the Justice League at the very end of the movie. It feels like there's a full 40 minutes of bringing Superman back, and that doesn't even matter till the last 5 minutes of the actual Justice League movie. They kind of have the interpretations of like, well, I guess we fucked up bringing Superman back. That was a bad idea. Even though the first half of the movie, they're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. And then it's like, y'all don't even have like a real conversation. He just like randomly shows up and he's like, yes, there's a lot of things I like, and one of them I stand for is justice, or something like that. It was some like really cheesy ass line. Superman coming to the fight with Justice League felt very anticlimactic, and it didn't even feel necessary. It feels like the team probably could have taken him. and he's a big fan of justice. Oh, that's what he said. Flash versus Superman truck. Uh, scene when the Flash is saving that little Russian family, and then I guess Superman saving a whole building. That's a funny gag, and they're using their powers, and it makes sense. I feel like there's a formula for, quick to the point. Don't have to have a 20, you don't have to have a contemporary joke every 10 minutes, but and it's not like they did. It's just they it just feels like the comedy that works. That's the style that seems to work for me personally. Um, Once again, Cavill is not that bad at all. I still love him in the red cape. Uh, Always a big fucking blue beam at the end of these stupid movies. You would have thought this movie was made anywhere from 2000s to 2010, because that blue beam always shows up at the end of these movies, so it had to show up from somewhere. Cyborg's fucking booyah as the Steppenwolf gets transported into wherever the fuck, gets back to his mother's house or wherever, his mother's basement. Now there are some crazy DNA flowers growing around in Russia. We're just going to completely ignore that. Um, Bruce buys Martha's house, Martha Kent's house, just to, I guess, make them feel better. There's some decent scene. There's like a little bit of scene that they have with Bruce and Superman at the very end, and Clark, and they have some decent rapport. It's like, that's what I want to see. I wanted to see them have a decent conversation. My lord, they don't have to throw people through walls all day, and that's what felt like BVS was, if I remember correctly. Um, but yeah, the lasso of truth. I didn't talk about that with the Aquaman scene, but there's several scenes with the lasso of truth that are pretty damn funny, and it's a funny gag, especially with Aquaman sitting on it and him just, all of a sudden saying, "My God, you're beautiful," and this is a fucked up team, and this is, I don't give a shit about this, I don't give a shit about that, and I'm actually scared. He's like, "Oh shit." And he's like sitting on the thing. It's like, oh fuck. Now that's a decent scene for me. I think that was probably a reshoot as well. Um, but yeah, the lasso of truth on the bank robbers is a funny gag at the very end. I think there are some pretty good, um, you know, quick scenes that work. I wish that they had happened more often. Overall, Justice League is an amalgamation of too many cooks in the kitchen, some decent ideas with executions going in every direction. I think we have some I think we have some promising talent, but we need some serious direction and focus on who these characters are and why we should care about them. I mean, they need to really nail down why these characters in Marvel work. Most of the characters, we had no idea who they were. So if you're going to introduce these new characters, make them relatable, make them likable, make them, if they're not likable, make them sympathetic, empathetic, find a way that it makes it interesting. Like having that evil Superman for that split, I don't know, maybe 5 minute scene is interesting. We know why he's mad. We need to contain that power, that kind of thing. It's makes it interesting. It makes it a little bit more dramatic. I didn't feel like the stakes in this really lived up to how important this movie was supposed to be. But yeah, based on the budget and based on everything that was going on, I'd give this like a 6 out of 10. Hard to recommend, easy to watch if you're not having to pay attention. HBO Max, so it's you don't even have to rent it at this point. I will say HBO Max is a quick little interface. Has been off and on. It works on my computer fine. The layout I like a little bit on my computer a little bit better. The color palette apparently is affecting people that have are slightly colorblind. So just kind of have to talk about that real quick. Just I wish you could make it a little bit more accessible and adaptable for people like that. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with it. I know it's not quite as big as the collection as people had wanted. Some people wanted the collection to be a little bit fuller or something like that. But overall, HBO Max has been a pretty good investment. If you already have HBO Go, then you should be fine, depending on your location and if you're watching or listening internationally. But yes, thank you for watching to the Justice League review. I'm going to put my phone down. There's all my notes on there. But I could not do this review without you, the listeners, the viewers, the people that give a shit about the podcast, people that give a shit about Justice League. If you like Justice League, if you don't like Justice League, let me know in the description, in the comments, and the questions, the concerns. You know where to find me. LuckyDogPodcast@gmail.com. Let me know how I can improve this podcast. If I'm just rambling on too much and you just want the talking points, maybe I can consolidate it for you. If you want this podcast early, you can get this podcast early on YouTube. I post pretty much all of the podcasts there early on YouTube. You can subscribe there, get all the podcast early. I get most of the podcast via audio form on SoundCloud. So if you would like the podcast just to listen to it, don't want to have to do the whole YouTube thing, subscribe on SoundCloud, Lucky Dog Podcast, and you'll get the new reviews every Tuesday. We have Aftercast every, once or twice every couple weeks, and it's just kind of a roundup of behind the scenes of the Lucky Dog Podcast and how you can support and how you can help. Support the podcast, paypal.me/the Lucky Dog Podcast. If you just got like $1 or $2, that obviously helps tremendously, coming from all the supporters. I couldn't do this without you. So thank you, Lucky Dog Podcast. Thumbs up, 5 stars. If you can't donate or anything like that, go to iTunes and 5 stars it, thumbs up it, whatever you got to do. Thank you, and take it easy. Also, corrections will be in the comments and description. There's no way I got everything right, so don't go too hard on me. I appreciate all the support, all the help. Thank you, and take it easy. A couple of short words on the final thoughts on the Zach Snyder Justice League cut. I realized after I recorded this that I didn't talk about almost one of the main reasons of recording the podcast. I wanted to go back and watch this movie so I could see if this was going to be a salvageable movie for Zack Snyder to, to fix. Everyone knows that the Zack Snyder cut was essentially pushed by, fans, good, bad, the ugly, everyone in between. I'm mostly interested in it. I don't think that $20 to $30 million is going to change too much